manipulatives. Okay, normally if you were in class, you would have some fake money to play with. So if you want, you can maybe even borrow some money from your parents if they'll let you, right? But let's review real quick. Here we have 73 hundredths plus 5 hundredths. Since they have the same denominator, we can easily add, and we just keep that denominator. 73 plus 5 gives me 78 hundredths. That denominator stays the same, and I have a total of 78. Here we have 4 tenths plus 8 tenths. Those denominators are the same, so we can add. 4 plus 8 gives me 12 tenths. 12 tenths, but we know that's an improper fraction, and we can write it as 1 and 2 tenths. Today we will add different amounts of money. Who doesn't love money? I know I do. Okay, so here we have some play money. Use the money to create 2 and 15 hundredths. Use your money to create. If you need to pause the video, you can. Okay, if I put this money to the side and now I use new money to create 1 and 72 hundredths, or $1.72. Well, if I combine this amount and I put them together, I can add the things that are alike. I can add the pennies, I can add the dimes, and I can add the dollars. So how many ones would I have? How many dimes? How many pennies? Let's see, if I had 5 pennies here, I had 2 pennies there, I'd have a total of 7 pennies. If I had a dime here and 7 dimes there, I'd have a total of 8 dimes. $2 plus $1 gives me $3, or 3 ones. So if I put them together, I'd end up with a total of $3.87. When I ask you for a total, how many of you collected all of the ones, all of the dimes, and all of the pennies to find the total? If you did, that's a great idea. Why would I do that? Because they're the same units, right? A dime and a dime, those are the same units. It's very, very easy for me to add them. A penny and a penny, same units. It's very easy for me to add them. Well, if we relate this money to decimals, here I have 5 hundredths plus 2 hundredths. It's very easy for me to add 5 hundredths plus 2 hundredths because then I'd get 7 hundredths. 1 tenth plus 7 tenths. If I add those together, I very easily come up with 8 tenths. 2 ones plus 1 gives me 3 ones. We add the things that are the same units, the same place value. What type of number do you see in money? Obviously, it's a decimal. If we take away the dollar sign, this number looks just like a decimal. What is the place value of the 1? It's in the tens place. What is the place value of the 7? It's in the ones place. What is the place value of the 8? It's in the tenths place. What is the place value of the 9? It is in the hundredths place. Notice the numbers after the decimal point have that THS at the end to show that they are a decimal and not a whole number. In relation to decimals, why do you think I only gave you dimes and pennies and not nickels and quarters? That's because a dime is 10 cents. 10 cents is worth 1/10, a tenth of a dollar. A penny, 100 pennies make a dollar, so a penny is worth 1/100th of a dollar. So those relate more to the place values of a decimal. Think of a dollar. A dime is what fraction of a dollar? A tenth. Think of a dollar. A penny is what fraction of a dollar? 100th. So we have those place values in our money system. Okay? Use the money to create $1.24, 1 and 24 hundredths. Put the money to the side. Now use the new money to create $3.45, or 3 and 45 hundredths. Combine these two amounts. Combine means add. Here we get 4 hundredths and 5 hundredths together make 9 hundredths. 2 tenths plus 4 tenths gives me 6 tenths, or 6 dimes. 1 whole, or $1, plus 3 wholes, $3, gives me 4 wholes, or 4 ones. Group them by the things that they are alike. So what is our total? We end up with $4.69. If I collected 11 dimes, can I exchange the 11 dimes for something else so that I wouldn't have to carry quite as much change around? Absolutely. I could take 10 of those dimes and replace it with $1. So 11 dimes, I would be left with $1.10. What should I do if I have 10 dimes or 10 tenths? I should regroup it to one whole or one. What should I do if you have 10 pennies, also known as hundreds? Well, 10 pennies I could switch out as a dime or a tenth. I can regroup them to make it so I have less change to carry around and so that I don't have too many digits in one place value. Collect these two amounts and then add them together. We have 35 hundredths, also known as 35 cents. We have 27 hundredths, also known as 27 cents. And if we add them together, how many tenths do we have? How many hundredths? Why do we need to regroup? Well, let's see. I have 5 tenths. Oops. 3 plus 2 gives me 5 tenths, and I have 12 hundredths. Oh no, 12's too big. I can regroup 10 of those hundredths to make another tenth. So let's see, 12 hundredths, I can pull out 10, so that would leave me with 2 left over. And if I'm giving those 10 pennies to equal another dime, I end up with 6 tenths. We need to regroup because the number 12 just won't fit in that place value. So when I add these two decimals together, or monetary values, I get 62 cents, also known as 62 hundredths. How many tenths or dimes are in the above number? 0. I don't have any of those. That's shown because the tens place is behind the decimal point, and it has a 0 there. In this amount, I don't have any dimes. Okay? How would this affect adding these two numbers? Well, I would need to make sure that I don't accidentally add the 6 and the 9, because the 6 doesn't represent how many dimes I have. The 6 represents how many pennies I have. So I would need to make sure I'm adding the 0 and the 9 and the 6 with the 1. Why can't I add the 6 to the 9? Because they're different values. I'm not going to add pennies and dimes together and tell you how many pimes I have. No, that doesn't make sense. We don't use pimes. So instead, we have to know how many pennies and how many dimes we have. We have to add the things that are in the same place value. Okay, so in this problem, what's our total? We have 1 penny and 6 pennies, so a total of 6 pennies or 7 pennies or 7 hundredths. And then we have 9 dimes plus 0 dimes, or 9 tenths plus 0 tenths, giving me 9 tenths. And 4 and 5 make 9, and we have a total of $19.97. What is useful when adding decimals or money? We make sure that we add the same place value. If we're adding dimes, we combine those dimes together. If we're adding pennies or hundredths, we put those hundredths together. What do you do when you have 10 or more in a place value? You have to regroup. If I had 10 dimes, I would make $1. If I had 10 pennies, I would regroup and make a dime. What does it mean if I have 0 in a place value? Well, that means I have 0 of that place value, but that 0 is super important because we need that to show that I have 0 dimes, but I might still have some pennies.